Hello everyone, time for another quick update this week. Coming up on this episode, first, the missing project. Second, John Sikkema is back from studying and he has some thoughts on the recent Ontario decision on conscience rights. Finally, André is pretty happy about a recent change made by the Ontario Law Society that affects him and some of the other lawyers here in Ontario. So first up, Mike is with us to talk about something called the Missing Project.
Thanks, Colin. Yes, the Missing Project is a very ambitious initiative that ARPA Canada is pleased to be a part of. And essentially it's commemorating the 50 years of legalized abortion with a two-part project. The first is a collection of 50 stories, 50 testimonies from right across the country of how abortion has impacted everyone from women to families to children to doctors to lawmakers. And each of these stories is being released one every day from Mother's Day. We started back on Mother's Day, every single day right up until Canada Day. And Canada Day is when the second part of this project kicks in, and that's going to be a full-length documentary, approximately 60 to 90 minutes, which shows historically what has transpired in those 50 years. How has abortion impacted Canada? What were some of the debates about abortion laws like? And where are we at today? And why should you be so encouraged that we are making progress? So check the link up here to find the stories that are being shared every single day. And keep an eye on our social media, both ARPA Canada's and We Need Laws, as to when that documentary comes out on Canada Day.
Thanks, Mike. Please do take a moment to check out some of the videos that have already been released. These stories are very powerful. Share them with your friends, show them at your youth group meeting, or talk about it at your Bible study. Next up, John Sikkema, legal counsel for ARPA Canada, has returned from studies in the U.S. Welcome back, John. John joins us now as he talks about the recent Ontario decision on conscience rights.
Thanks, Colin. Last week, the Ontario Court of Appeal decided an important physician's freedom of conscience case. The case began several years ago when the Ontario College of Physicians adopted a policy requiring doctors who conscientiously refuse to provide abortion, assisted suicide, and other services to help their patients find a physician who is willing and available to provide those services. A group of doctors challenged this policy, arguing that helping patients access such unethical procedures would violate their conscience. The court concluded, although this policy does interfere with freedom of religion, the policy is justified because it helps to ensure, quote, equitable access to health care, unquote. Now, there are several problems with this decision. First, the court talks about a right to abortion and assisted suicide as connected to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Now, it's true that criminal prohibitions on these procedures have been struck down in the past, meaning people can access them without criminal liability, but that does not mean there is a positive right to pressure other people to provide those services. Second, the court says there is no right to practice medicine, let alone a constitutional right. Now, it's true that I can't claim a constitutional right to practice medicine, but if I'm a qualified doctor, I can, of course, claim freedom of conscience to practice medicine in accordance with my conscientious beliefs, and our law has always accommodated that. The decision is unsettling for these reasons and more. We have a lot of work to do in advocating for more robust protections for freedom of conscience and religion. As for this particular case, we'll have to wait and see whether the doctors appeal their loss to the Supreme Court of Canada. Thank you.
Thanks so much, John. Regardless of what province you are in, now is a great time to write a note to your MPP or MLA about protecting doctors' conscience rights at easymail.arpacanada.ca. Even better, write a letter to your local editor about it. You can ask me for help with writing it at colin@arpacanada.ca. Finally, André, over to you.
Thanks, Colin. So just a half month ago or so, there was a really big election here in Ontario that most of you have never even heard of, and that was the election of our benchers for the Law Society of Ontario. The benchers are the lawyers who govern the entire legal profession in this province. And we had a total upset in that election where we had 22 benchers who ran specifically on a platform to overturn the Law Society's policy that required all lawyers to subscribe to a principle or a statement of principles enhancing diversity, inclusion, and tolerance. But those words have obviously been twisted because it's the same Law Society that said they would not recognize, they refused to recognize the accreditation of Trinity Western Law School simply because it was an explicitly Christian law school. So I just want to share that story with all of you. A little known election in this province where we saw that where some people were willing to stand on principle and oppose something, that in fact change could happen. And so we have a total upset in this election, and it means great things for the legal profession here in this province. If you want to read more about it, click on this link right here, and it'll bring you to an article that can tell you a bit more. Take care.
Thanks so much, Andre. It's wonderful to see a positive change in this situation as well. That's all for this week. Thanks to you for watching Quick Updates and for staying informed. Please do like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you for another episode next week.